Psalm 73, verse 25. Psalm 73, verse 25. It reads like this: Who have I in heaven but you? There's nothing that I desire in this earth more than you. I'm going to read that one more time. Who have I in heaven but you? There's nothing that I desire in this earth more than you. I believe this is the purest form of worship. Until and unless we can come to this place of absolutely saying to God that there's nothing in this earth, there's no desire in this earth, even I don't want anything even from heaven. It is only you and only your presence that I yearn for. Until and unless we can come to this place, we have not truly worshiped God. The first time worship is ever mentioned in the Bible is when Abraham tells his servants that, me and the lad will go up to the mountain and worship God. The first time worship is ever mentioned in the Bible is when a man was going to place on the altar his most cherished possession. The one person that he loved the most, the one person that he cared for the most, he was going to lay his one son, Isaac, on the altar because the Lord had demanded it, and the Bible states it as worship. Until and unless we can come to the presence of God and say, if there is anything, everything, I'm ready to place it in the altar. If anything that is separating me from you, I'm willing to place it in the altar. That is called worship. You know, the worship that Lord demands from us is not of some emotional or sentimental experience. The worship that Lord demands of us is of absolute abandonment of our self-life. A life ready to be consumed, sacrificed, and ready to be placed on the altar for His glory's sake. And a worship that only encourages some song and dance routine with a spine-tingling emotional experience to follow, without a broken life, without a self-life not being crucified, without one's own glory and one's self-life not being placed on the altar. It is at best superficial, natural, and it is only human and have no part of God's glorious presence. What a tragedy it is when churches get reduced to just this emotional hype of just song and dance and forget to lay down the very things that is separating from us from God on the altar. You see, that's when we try to bring down fake fire with all kinds of music, because on the altar, for the heavenly fire to come fall down on the altar, the sacrifice had to we had to place ourselves on the altar completely. It was not part of the sacrifice was not placed. The whole sacrifice was placed, and that's when heavenly fire came down. And let us ask tonight, is there something in our life that is keeping us from God? Is there something in our life that we are keeping it for ourselves? Is there something else in this world that is taking the place of God in our hearts? The rightful owner of our heart is God Himself. God, the Bible describes God as a jealous God. He's God of all, or He's not Lord at all. Oh, let us come to this presence and say, God, I'm willing to place myself on the altar. And that is the worship that we can offer Him. And let us ask ourselves, is there something in this earth that I desire more than Him? Is it some position? Is it popularity? Is it the opinions of man that I value more than Him? Oh, let us place that on the altar. Also say to yourself, is there something in heaven? Am I looking forward for some crown or some thrones instead of you? You see, a true bride does not wait for, a true bride on her wedding day does not look forward for some wedding presents. You see, a true bride always is looking forward for her beloved. I mean, a true bride is not saying, oh, I can't wait to get married so I can get that blender. No, a true bride is saying, man, I can't wait to get married so that I can be with my beloved. Oh, let us long for him. I want to also look at this verse that we just read in another perspective. Let's read that one more time. It says Psalm 73:25. Whom have I in heaven but you, and besides you, I desire nothing on this earth. Now I believe this whole Bible is like a love letter from God to us. God, every incident, every character, every story is a love letter from God to us. Now, if that is the case, Let's read that verse as if God is speaking directly to us. Make it personal. God himself is saying this to us. Who do I have in heaven but you? There is nothing in this earth that I desire more than you. I mean, Jesus never directly quotes that verse. But you see, when he was hanging on the cross between heaven and sea, he was telling the whole mankind that there is nothing in heaven that I desire more than you. I forsook the glories of heaven, the crown, the throne, and even now I'm forsaking the very presence of God just to be with you. And you remember, when the devil came to him on his earthly life, he tempted Jesus, saying, hey, I will give you everything that you see, all the things that this earth can give, if you just bow down a little bit. And he restrained from that temptation. He never committed sin so that he can be the perfect sacrifice, so that he can spend eternity with you and I. Oh, he's saying to us, there is nothing in heaven or earth that will come between you and I. I love you that much. I desire you that much. Now the question I want you to ask tonight, and all of us should ask tonight, is, to that great love, Jesus is saying, I love you. To this great love, what is our response? Our response, is it going to be, hey, let me sing? Jesus is saying, I love you. Is our response going to be, hey, let me sing some songs? Jesus is saying, I love you. Hey, look, I forsook heaven and earth to love you. Are we going to say, hey, I'm going to just give 10% of my money? I feel guilty. Let me just take part in some church activities. Oh, to that great love, a better question is, to that great love, how can our response be anything other than what we just read tonight? How can our response be anything than saying, God, there is nothing in heaven that I desire more than you, and nothing in this earth will come between you and I. May God bless you with this, sir. Thank you.